check 1, 2, check 1, 2, 3, check 1, 2, 3, 4, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hit me with 5. All right. Hey everybody, my name is Sean. I'm an American teacher in China. I've been here about 10 years teaching English as a second language in various capacities. Currently I'm located in Fujian province in the south along the coast, really kind of directly across from Taiwan. Currently I am under lockdown, even though we are located pretty far from the epicenter of Wuhan. I have taught in Wuhan before. In the year 2010 I was teaching there, but I really haven't returned there since, or I haven't returned there since then. Like I said, we're currently under lockdown. I think most cities in China are experiencing this right now. What that means is our complex, the apartment buildings in our complex, our gated complex, it's really kind of like projects. They ask you to kind of keep confined to your quarters. Even though there are multiple exit entry points in the complex, they confine them all to one. And at that entrance, you have to get your temperature checked and be prepared to tell them where you have been. Originally, it was put to me that we were only going to be allowed to leave every 2 days, but now it's being put to me that we can come and go as we like. That being said, I've remained in my apartment for 3 days now, and just kind of got into the routine and the exercise of kind of rationing my supplies and keeping my spirits up, keeping myself busy in my apartment. I took the garbage out today. Actually, tomorrow I'm expected down at the school. I got to get some textbooks for the next semester. So that'll be the really first time out in 3 days. Hopefully I'll be able to hit the market down there. It's actually like a 10-15 minute walk from where I'm located. Be able to get to that market at that point. The walk here is very rural. I'm in a very sort of secluded area, very rural area. So I rarely see anybody walking. Anyway, what's going on here in my personal space? What else is new? It just froze. Well, the other day some officials came by and they checked in on me. Just wanted to see if I was okay, and that they said, basically gave me basic information. I couldn't really understand everything they were saying, but it just seemed they were checking in on me. Other things, people in the complex, they go out in the courtyard pretty frequently. Yesterday was kind of cold, and the sun wasn't out, so most people just kind of stayed in anyway. Today the sun was out, it was a little bit warmer, so you could hear kids running around the courtyard. Fireworks, this is the time of year for fireworks, so we're hearing a lot of fireworks here, maybe even a little bit more so, because people are quite bored. Other things, my neighbors they were burning that joss paper the other day in the hallway, and it was quite irritable. I just kind of think it's a really bad idea to be burning, especially when this virus kind of affects the respiratory system the way it does. That to be burning papers in a very confined area in the lobby around the elevator is just a really unwise thing to do, and more in lines with that bat suit kind of ideology that lacks kind of better sense, So that's a bit irritating, and in such cases I have to open my apartment and ventilate it pretty well. I'm up on the 9th floor, so I'm quite high off the ground. What else is going on here? I do have some notes over here. Let me tell you about. Just kind of, I can't even read my notes. Oh my goodness, I had to cheeky scratch this stuff out. Yesterday I actually had a report. I did a video, but I found the information. Some of the information I was looking at had been updated, so I decided to cancel the video. I think I'm going to try and just do this every every 2 days or so rather than every day, just because for that reason. Sometimes I'm looking at articles and they're being updated as we go. Like I said, I'm working on my lessons here. I've decided to kind of, I want to bring that up. Kind of decided to do a lesson on health and going to the doctors. So what I've been kind of putting together is a lesson on maybe the first week we'll look at like symptoms, cough, sneeze, things like that. I feel sick, I feel dizzy, or I have a cough. Do that the first week, and then the second week we're going to do that at the hospital. So we'll look at some of the things like the doctor gave me here, got a pill, shot, x-ray, and some other ailments that you might talk about when going to a hospital, like a broken bone or a fever or something like that. So I'm putting that together on my PowerPoints. In the meantime, also going back through old lessons and updating them. So perhaps I can use this semester. So, let's take a look at some articles like I like to do. Just kind of show you the news I'm looking at, see how it fares up against how I'm experiencing it here. I see that we're now over 800, though oddly enough there has been no deaths in Fujian as of yet recorded, so that's a good sign. There has been some cases diagnosed in our province, but no deaths, so that's actually a pretty good sign. But it is over the SARS fatality rate. I saw that a American died in Wuhan, and my condolences to his family and friends. That was the information that I had received yesterday. I originally kind of heard it was a woman in her 60s, but I later found out it was a man, so that's why I kind of pulled the video. And I was very kind of curious why he didn't get on the evacuations. The news were all reporting that the last plane had left 2 hours prior, and I can only presume that means that could probably be because he was Chinese and had family here or something to that extent. That's what I'm presuming right now. Don't quote me, but I'm presuming he probably chose to stay in China through relations or something like that, due to relations or something like that. But it's very sorry, very, very, of course, upsetting a little bit and sorrowful. It is upsetting to hear a fellow American has passed away because of this virus. That being said, President Trump has spoken apparently with Xi Jinping, and I don't find any of his sentiments contrary to my own. I think they're doing everything they can to address this. There are some points that I think are going to be that are a little bit dubious and are probably going to come back into contention. One of them is, I mentioned this in one of my other posts, the patent for a drug that remdesivir, which is an American company's drug that they had put a patent in for. They filed a patent. Now, I don't really like, as a YouTuber, I don't really like just kind of reading articles, There's a lot of YouTubers that kind of find articles and then they read them and they kind of go through and give them their thoughts. I don't know if that's for me. I kind of figure you should be reading them yourself. But South China Morning Post, which is I think it's one of Jack Ma's papers, but it leans pretty heavy in sort of party lines and party propaganda. But they did post this article recently concerning this, which I think is really a point of contention, and it's really at the heart of the trade war, these kinds of things. China has applied to the patent drug candidate being developed by Gilead Sciences. The government rushes to find a cure, a move that could raise questions, right? State-backed Institute by Wuhan filed a patent for use in remdesivir to fight the novel corona on January 24th, right? 2 weeks later, on February 4th, blah, 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 blah. Studies have been conducted outside the human body and found that Gilead's remdesivir compound and the off-patent chloroquine, well, they're both highly effective in the control. Since these compounds have been used with a safety track record and shown to be effective against it, we see that they should be assessed. So, you know, this was actually used in the SARS outbreak, and chloroquine is used to fight malaria. But they're basically taking something that was established and they are trying to patent it. The outbreak has triggered panic carcinoma from the lockdown, blah, blah, blah. And moving on, this has been proved, where it's going to come on, has not been approved anywhere globally and has not been shown to be safe or effective on use. Firm is working with Chinese hosts to conduct a clinical trial with ammonia symptoms. Chosen for the report, so it said it had invented remdesivir. And so this is Gilead. Had invented remdesivir and filed patent applications for the compound that's used against coronavirus globally, including in China in 2016. All right, so they have a patent out there that's pending still. The application in China is still pending. We're aware of the reports of the Wuhan Institute for Biology's patent application. Sonia Choi, Gilead's Vice President of Public Affairs, said in an email reply to the South. Our focus at the time is on rapidly determining the potential for remdesivir as a treatment for novel coronavirus and accelerating manufacturing in anticipation of potential future supply needs. Okay, so they're doing the right thing here. They're saying, okay, we're not focused on this issue right now. The whole point of it is to help people. The point of the drug is to save people's lives. You know, that's what we're the business we're in. And that's what we're trying to do right now, and that is our focus. That's the right approach. Asked if Gilead would contest the patent application filed by China, she said the application has been filed more than 3 years after Gilead's filing and will be considered in view of what is already known about the compound and pending patent application. We are unable to comment on the details of the application because there is an 18-month delay for an application to be published. So they're waiting to see what the Chinese agency is going to put in their application, and if there's any sort of significant variances in their application that would say it is actually a new sort of compound. It's been published. It's been, 2016. Their patent has been out there for quite a long time, and it's been pending in China also. And this is at the heart of the trade war. There's companies out there that have products that were invented and patented outside of China that China just said, well, it's not in China, so we get to patent whenever we want here, and then turn around and sell it globally as a China product. It's not known when the Institute could be approved by China's patent authority, but the unit of the China Academy says could provoke legal issue with its filing coin, right? So now you have two companies patenting something that the same product, and China will tend to favor the Chinese company in such legal issues. If there hasn't been any sort of reform in their agencies, it tends to say, well, no, China can do that, and then sell it globally as their own. One question is, and this is the argument. One question is whether the specific combination of drugs or that specific medical use of the drug is novel. That is, the researchers may discover have filed their patent application before it becomes known to the public. Code said. Another is whether they are inventive. That is, an ordinary researcher in this field would not have thought of combining those drugs or using those drugs to treat the coronavirus. And the Chinese said it was based on international practice, protection of national interests, but the implications of such a patent go far beyond just this epidemic. This is even if the Institute of Virology is granted the patent for the use of the drug on the novel clone, it would not be able to get around any patents Gilead might have filed or obtained for the drug remdesivir. Cobden said, Gilead might as well choose to work with the Institute to market the drug there. Gilead. Now, of course, that's the thing, access to the Chinese market and you go to the Chinese market, they take credit for what you have done. And they might to 12 hours public know the coverage of patent applied by one. So, you know, this is going to be something that is down the line that's going to have to be addressed. Really not time for it. I along with Gilead, say this is not a time for this dispute. It's also not a time for, you know, being so opportunistic as to, you know, file a patent also, I would say. So there's going to be quite a bit of contention concerning this down the line. That being said, I once again would like to reiterate, if you want to help in this epidemic, you know, by investing in Gilead is a good idea to do that. Investing in companies like, I think, Abbott Laboratories also has created quite a bit of the drugs that they're testing to treat this virus. It's a good thing to invest in those companies, probably even better than charity at this point, because a lot of the times that's exactly what charity is going to be investing anyway. And in a lot of ways, those companies will turn around and help you. If their stock prices go up, they're also helping you. So it's more of a beneficial relationship by investing in those companies. Other articles I want to talk about. One more thing I want to talk about. Yeah, now I've come across, this is one article that I didn't get a chance to talk about. I actually spent a lot of time talking about it in my last video. And it's one of those events, those stories in China that just kind of that breaks your heart, and this is kind of one that sticks with me. Now this happened. I read this before this outbreak, and it was a very very disturbing. As disturbing as the boy, disturbing as Wang Ye, the little girl got hit by the truck, and this was a story of Fujian, a young woman. This was on January 14th, and I remember it, and I bookmarked it, and I took the article and kind of put it in my own files. It's just a heartbreaking story. There's this Chinese woman, she was only 24 years old, and she died of malnutrition. Now I'm really sort of insulted about this headline because they say despite U.S. $145,000 effort to save her, it wasn't U.S. money, it wasn't U.S. donors, this was Chinese people. So this is actually in Chinese yuan. And it really does them a disservice to say that it was really the U.S. people trying to save her and they couldn't do it, you know? Because it was the China, at least, you know, like, I don't think it's right to show that, you know, China takes a lot of rap for not being very humane, and you know, a lot of people like this, oh, they don't care about one, but you know, a lot of people read this story too and had the same sort of visceral response to it. It's a very tragic story. And she lost her mother at 4 and spent much of her life caring for her sick brother. She fell ill after eating only boiled rice and pickled chili for 5 years. She appealed for financial help after being admitted to a hospital in October, but the public's generosity was not enough to save her. Let's kind of take a look at this story here, and that's her there. You can see she looks older than 24. Her face is aged. A young woman from southern China whose story of poverty and deprivation sparked a public appeal that raised almost 1 million yuan. Has died in hospital from complications relating to malnutrition. Wu Yuan was born in 1995 into a poor family from a remote rural area of Guizhou, one of the country's most impoverished regions. Her mother died when she was 4. Wu lived with her father and younger brother, Wu Jianglong, who suffered from mental health problems, for which she required frequent medical treatment. And much of the family's meager earnings went on to paying his hospital bills. And very often, especially when the one-child policy existed, was very much families would focus on boys, and that was where their resources were dedicated. And even in the case of a young man who wasn't in the best physical condition, they still would invest their money in the boy. After her mother died when she was 4, Wu's father died when she was 18, after which the siblings received a modest government subsidy of 300 yuan a month. She was only 18, and her brother were all alone, pretty much in they're kind of left, all that was left of their family, of their immediate family, and they only received 300 yuan a month, which is very difficult. For two people to live on is very difficult. Despite the demands of caring for her brother, after leaving school, Wu managed to get a place at a vocational college and was awarded an annual scholarship of 7,000 yuan to cover expenses. So she had an opportunity to go to school, and the government was actually, doing a good thing and giving her money. This is a picture of her. She's very thin. She almost looks like a little girl in the hospital. But I imagine all that money went right towards her brother and her. I don't understand if she was going to college how people could recognize and reach out to her. There's something strange about that, because I'm pretty sure Chinese people would reach out to her. The thing is that there's a sense of don't appear. She probably wouldn't make the jet. She waited so long to ask for help, and that's a sense of pride that comes with this. I don't know. I think it's they don't want to appear weak, or because you get preyed upon if you appear weak, and it might because she was so reluctant to go for help, or she didn't maybe, and part of that maybe that psychology is that you realize there is no help out there for you. You're always kind of thinking that. While the siblings lived under the guardianship of an aunt and uncle, they too lived in poverty lives, and the money was always tight. You don't know what was going on there. If their money, if the aunt and the uncle had, control all the money, and maybe you don't know. I don't want to imply anything I don't want to imply anything here, but I don't know. The financial demands of mother's treatment made it hard for Wu to balance the books, so she stopped eating proper meals. For 5 years, she survived on nothing more than boiled rice and pickled chili, the report said. Such deprivation really took its toll, and in October, Wu began having difficulty walking and breathing. So he went to the local hospital for a checkup. She was diagnosed as suffering from serious heart and kidney problems as a result of malnutrition. She didn't have money to pay for treatment, so she appealed for the public and charity's help. And some media outlets picked up the story, and when she entered the hospital, she was only 48 pounds at the time. But people, donated. She got almost 1 million yuan from just donations, So there was a lot of generosity, a lot of care, a lot of concern was going out for this young girl. And this is really heartbreaking how it was an interview, they interviewed her, and she explained why she had finally turned to the media. She said, my grandmother and dad both died because they didn't have money for treatment. She said, I want to experience that, to wait for death because of poverty. It's just, you can tell by her words it was a hard thing for her to do. She really struggled. She really kind of saw how she too could die, for her to say that, it's almost like she knew death was on her doorstep, was and just a heartbreaking. Wu's health deteriorated. She was transferred to a hospital in Guiyang. They were unable to save her on Monday. She lost her fight for life at the age of 24. So, it's a terrible story. It's a story I'm going to carry with me, for as long as I think of China. It's just going to be one of those stories that I can't help. I take for. I understand it. It's most likely that it's a true story. I can see it. I can see it sometimes. I can see the sensibility. I can see the sort of thought process, and it's just heartbreaking. You just kind of wish somebody had reached out to her. I'm almost certain that Chinese people would have helped her, at school, her fellow students or the staff, the teachers, they all would have helped her, her neighbors, but But there's this thing, there's a pride about not doing that, and there's this pride about wanting to be, I don't know, more the benefactor than the beneficiary, and it's just really tragic, that poor girl, Anyway, I think that's going to be all for today. I'm going to try and do these maybe every 2 days, make some ground in my work, unless something really eventful happens. Mostly I'm just going to be here in the apartment working on PPTs and lessons and things like that for the next couple weeks. My school should start on next Monday, the following Monday after tomorrow. And we'll see how things go from then. Hopefully there's some better news out there. That's all for today. Take care, stay safe. I'll talk to you next time.